bring you the very latest on the economy in a bit.
But we do begin with that aviation tragedy here in New York. A sightseeing helicopter breaking apart and plummeting into the Hudson River, killing the pilot and a family of 5 visiting from Spain.
Crews worked late into the night recovering bodies and part of the wreckage. Dive operations to salvage more debris resuming this morning. The search for answers, though, just beginning. We've got complete coverage this morning. We'll get some expertise from an aviation analyst. But first to Sam, good morning.
Savannah, Willie, good morning. It could be a little while before we get resolution on what caused that crash, but that striking video clearly shows the helicopter breaking apart and plunging into the Hudson River. What is not clear at this point, those 6 passengers on board, did they die from exposure to the frigid waters because of the impact of the crash? Guys, the NTSB and the FAA have launched teams on site now as crews continue to try to retrieve some of the wreckage. In a matter of seconds, the helicopter fell from the sky and plunged into the Hudson River.
Everybody was like screaming. We were crying.
Claiming 6 lives, including a family on a sightseeing trip.
There's a helicopter in the water.
Rescue boats and divers immediately swarming the area near New Jersey's shoreline.
It sounded like something was just breaking.
Bruce Wall took this video as he says he watched the rotor blades and tail snap.
I mean, at that point, I'm pretty sure the helicopter already hit the water, and the blade was just starting to come down. The tail was a couple feet back.
Another video showing parts of the chopper falling into the water. Others stunned by the noise from across the river.
I heard it sounded like an engine just dying, and it was like doo 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 doo, and I just turned, I looked, and I saw the helicopter crash and splash into the water.
Panic went through your mind, I'm sure.
Yeah, right away I called 911.
The aircraft ultimately flipping upside down.
The helicopter the main body of it started to fall backwards into the water.
The passengers, a family on a trip from Spain, all killed along with the pilot. Now identified as Agustin Escobar, an executive of Siemens Spain, and his wife Mercè Comprube Montal, a New York City Hall spokesperson, tells NBC News. The couple traveling with their 3 children, according to the Spanish government.
We're lifting them up in prayer.
In an interview with The Telegraph, the owner of New York Helicopter Tours telling the paper that the pilot had called in that he was landing and that he needed fuel, and it should have taken him about 3 minutes to arrive, but 20 minutes later, he didn't arrive, adding, "We're all devastated." First responders rushing into the water in minutes.
They did everything they can to try to save these victims.
And late into the night, emergency crews working to recover the wreckage.
It's terrifying to see something that large kind of break up. We started praying.
Now, guys, there are thousands of tourist helicopter flights in New York City every single year. Crashes, of course, are extremely rare. The Associated Press did a detailed review and looked at finding at least 38 deaths since 1977 of helicopter crashes in the New York City area. The most recent multi-casualty crash happened back in 2018. It was an open-door flight that happened on the East River. As far as the transportation secretary in this case, he said that this was in a special flight area where there was no contact with air traffic control. That's the latest here, guys. Back to you.
Sam, thank you. We want to turn now to NBC News aviation analyst Jeff Gazzetti, former investigator for both the FAA and the NTSB. And let's just start right there, Jeff. I mean, you saw that video, and there's several pieces of video. And to your trained eye, I'm sure you see a lot more than we can. What do you think this investigation holds, and what do you make of what we know so far?
Well, what we know so far, Savannah, is that there was some sort of sudden in-flight failure that occurred to the point where the pilot didn't have an opportunity to make a forced landing or make a mayday call. So something happened abruptly. It appears that weather doesn't appear to be a factor, although there were some gusts and winds in the area. We're looking at some sort of hardware issue that perhaps could have been prompted by an inappropriate pilot response, which could have been prompted by something like a bird strike. We just don't know yet. There is a phenomena called mast bumping, and this does have the earmarks of that type of issue. But again, we need to look at the wreckage.
So, Jeff, there are no black boxes in a case like this. We do have the benefit of all this video that we just saw in the piece as well. Where would you begin the investigation this morning?
Well, Willie, Typically, NTSB investigators utilize what they call the 3 M's: the man, the machine, and the medium. So the NTSB is going to be launching their GO team, and they're going to simultaneously be looking at each of those areas: the man, the pilot, how much flight experience, what kind of training did they receive, what was their health like. The machine, they're going to get the wreckage out of the water, they're going to get that main rotor blade system out of the water, they're going to examine the fracture surfaces, they're going to find out what failed first, and also they're also going to be looking to see if passengers had video cameras or iPhones that could be a video recorder, so to speak, not crash hardened. And then finally, the medium. Were there birds in the area? Were those wind gusts a factor? So those are the NTSB is going to look at all 3 of those things.
Well, they have a lot of work ahead and just a tragic story. Jeff, thank you very much for the perspective.
President Trump's trade war with China escalated overnight. Beijing announcing it will now raise tariffs on U.S. goods to 125%. That move coming in response to even higher levies placed on Chinese imports by the White House. So how will the president and Wall Street react today? NBC's chief White House correspondent Peter Alexander joins us with the latest. Peter, good morning.
Willie, good Friday morning to you. China's, retaliating against President Trump's latest tariff hike, and we are watching how the markets are reacting right now. A live look, you can see they've been bouncing around a bit, but in the green, at least for this moment, as this fast-moving trade war fuels new fears of a global recession and concerns about the price Americans pay for everything from toys to tech.
America first.
This morning, the trade war between the world's 2 biggest economies heating up. China slapping a new tariff on the United States, raising the tax on American goods to 125%. With China one of the main importers of U.S. goods, that move is likely to affect American farmers and companies. And China's President Xi Jinping is now responding to President Trump for the first time, saying that China does not fear economic suppression, but adding there are no winners in a tariff war. It comes after the White House clarified it had raised tariffs on China to 145%.
And I think that we'll end up working out something that's very good for both countries.
The U.S. tariff policies for the rest of the world remain uncertain. The president keeping a 10% baseline tax in place, even as he paused higher tariffs on dozens of trading partners. President Trump saying he's punishing countries who he insists treat the U.S. unfairly in trade. But experts warn many of those costs will be passed on to American consumers. According to a new estimate, all the tariffs could end up costing American households an extra $4,700 in purchasing power. The president acknowledging there will be short-term economic pain.
There'll be a transition cost and transition problems, but in the end, it's going to be a beautiful thing.
Amazon CEO telling CNBC's Andrew Ross Sorkin it will likely lead to higher prices.
I think we'll have to see how it all plays out. But if you made me guess, I'm guessing that that sellers will pass that cost on.
This morning, Wall Street is set to wrap up one of the most volatile weeks in the stock market's history. The Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ all plunging again on Thursday, erasing part of the historic recovery just 24 hours earlier. The president downplaying the sell-off.
We're very, very happy with the way the country's running.
China says its new tariffs are set to go into effect on American goods tomorrow. The market's euphoria, though, Willie, earlier this week that the president might be backing away from this trade war certainly appears to have been premature. J.P. Morgan Chase making clear it is not changing its prediction that the U.S. will plunge into a recession as a result of the president's policies, blaming what it calls the largest tax hike since World War II. Willie, we'll be watching. Back to you.